Hi, I'm Rad Miller. I'm a filmmaker and I'm also a film tutor, and I've teamed up with Leeds on Film to show you our top 5 tips on how to get started in no-budget filmmaking. So, tip number 1, get resourceful. Being resourceful means taking a look around your environment and using whatever available resources you have to hand. Not only will this give you the tools that you need to make your film, but also something to actually base your film around. So instead of getting your parents into debt just so that you can have the latest camera for you and your mates to film hilarious TikTok memes, why not offer to do some chores? Clean your bedroom, tidy the house. But if you really want to get your grubby little hands on their smartphone, then why not cook tea? Because you know you're guaranteed that your parents will give you the phone just so you don't cook. This brings me on to tip number 2, use a smartphone. Yeah, just chips and scraps, please, yeah. Oh, sorry, I'll call you back. Now, talking of smartphones, these amazing bits of kit can do an amazing amount of things. From tracking your footsteps to telling the time, to even tracking the stars at night. Which is ironic when you think that the one thing that they can't do really well is actually make a call. Okay, so we know that smartphones are kind of sketchy when it comes to making calls, but the one thing that they can do really well is capture awesome imagery, both moving and still. Cheers. To a no-budget filmmaker, smartphones along with tablet devices are like mini computers. They not only allow you to film the scenes, but they also allow you to edit your scene. But of course, with our DIY approach to filmmaking, you're still going to need a few more essential items just to help you get the most out of your smartphone. Which leads us nicely onto tip number 3, build your own film kit. First and foremost, you probably need something to keep your smartphone camera steady. Now, there's nothing worse than when you watch an important scene in a film and it's ruined by the shaky camera. That is unless you're watching Star Trek. But in all seriousness, making a film with 0p means the chances of you getting your hands on some nice, shiny new kit are 0 to none. So take a look around the house for something that you could potentially use as a makeshift tripod. And you'll be surprised at what you might find. Cue pictures. As you can see, there are loads of people that have come up with ingenious ways to use recycled odds and ends as makeshift DIY film gear. You could also put your newfound crafting skills to good use by making your own props, you could make your own costumes, you could even make a movie set, so get creative. Now that you're starting to become more resourceful and you still haven't spent a single penny, let's take a look at what else you might need. Which leads me nicely onto tip number 4, which is get good sound and lighting. Now, the chances are you're not going to be using an external microphone to record your audio. So with that in mind, you need to think about what exactly you want to record and then how you can position the camera so that it's not compromising the actual shot that you had intended. It's also really important to avoid background sounds. So try not to film your most important dialogue scenes in a noisy environment.
Blimey, Harry, didn't you ever wonder where your mum and dad learned it all?
Learned what?
You're out.
Oh, and please remember not to record when you've got wind. Not that kind of wind. Now let's think about lighting. When used creatively, the right lighting can magically transform a scene, creating any mood you want. Take a good look around your house to see whether there's any potential light sources that you could actually use to light your scenes. Then, when you're actually filming your scene, think about how the simple placement of these lights can be used to tell your story effectively. There is a growing range of free, easy-to-use editing apps for both iOS and Android smartphones that will enable you to pull together all of your amazing film footage. And YouTube is rammed full with hours of brilliant editing tutorials, just so you can get started. So now you've sorted out what DIY film kit, you're almost one step away from making your no-budget masterpiece. But before we do that, there is one tiny little thing that we need to discuss. And that leads me on to tip number 5, tell a good story. For most people, coming up with a good idea is painful. There is nothing worse than staring at a blank piece of paper or a screen and waiting for the magic to happen. Let me tell you guys, it never happens. And that's because to tell a good story, you need to be inspired. This inspiration can come from absolutely anywhere. So take a look around your home or take a walk in your local environment, read a book, chat to people, or even watch the news. You can then use this prompt as the basis of your story and add other key elements such as props or characters or even location. But whatever you decide for your brilliant film idea, you'll need to get it down quickly. So find yourself a big sheet of paper and write down what happens, where it happens, who it involves, how, when and why, and then you'll find you have the basis of a synopsis. Remember, this is DIY filmmaking, so we're not looking for anything professional or formatted. Handwriting your script on a piece of paper is more than adequate. You could also visualize your story in the form of drawings on a storyboard. You don't even have to be good at drawing as well to make a storyboard. Simple stick figures will be perfect, just as long as they show what shot is needed and the action that happens in that shot. But if you really want to be creative, then why not take a more improvised approach to filmmaking? In other words, make it up as you go along. But just remember that you need the basics of filmmaking to make this work. Otherwise, you'll be delivering a turkey. Remember, DIY filmmaking is all about making the most of what you have and having bags of fun. So go out there and get creative. Rope in your family and friends to star in your epic movie. Have them making props and costumes, or even building a set. Whatever amazing films you come up with, make sure you premiere them to friends and family. And don't forget us at Legion Film 2. We'd love to know how well you've done in the process. So please share any footage from your film shoot either on our Twitter or Facebook using the hashtag LYF NoBudgetFilmmaking. I'm Rad Miller and I'm out of here. Peace.